So guys, I have another horrific criminal for you here. He's in many places referred to as a serial killer, however, this is technically incorrect, as they have never found any bodies. This does not make his crime any less horrible, sadistic, and fluffing sick, if you get what I mean. I am talking about the toy box killer, David Parker Ray, and his accomplice, his girlfriend Cindy Handy, his friend Roy Yancey, and his daughter Akalenda Jean Ray, aka Jessie Ray. There are lots of sick and disturbing details to share, but first, a little bit about David himself. Although there is not a lot of information about his life, there are some things we know. David Parker Ray was born on November 6th in 1939 in New Mexico. He and his sister Peggy lived most of their childhood with their grandfather, who is said to have been very strict. There was the occasional visit from their alcoholic and abusive father, who is said to have given David porn magazines with some disturbing images. He went to Mountaineer High School. He was rumored to have been bullied by classmates, just because he was shy around girls. It is said that his fantasies about raping and torturing girls started during his teen years. His sister also found his drawing with torture porn along with his porn magazines. After school, he joined the army where he received an honorable discharge. He has also been divorced 4 times and has 2 kids. One of them we already know. He grew up to assist him in his shocking fantasies. Now a little bit about Cindy Handy. She was Cynthia Leah Handy, born in 1960, Everett, Washington. She grew up with an alcoholic mother who worked as a bartender. She was not the most motherly of mothers and would often not feed Cindy. She grew up with her mother and her mother's abusive boyfriends. Then she married a man who tried to rape Cindy when she was just 11. His excuse to her mother was he was drunk and went to bed in the wrong bed. Her mother took her husband's side, and Cindy got kicked out of the house at 12. Being left on her own so young, she ended up with drug dealers and working as a prostitute. She soon got addicted to alcohol and drugs. She was also into rape fantasies. As an adult, she had 3 kids with 2 different men, but she couldn't take care of them. When her youngest kid was 10, she sent them all to their grandparents, and it was in 1997. She ran away from her life of crime and moved to Truth and Consequences in New Mexico. When David Parker Ray and Cindy Handy started dating, Cindy moved in pretty fast after breaking up with her old boyfriend. When she first moved in, allegedly David, who is 20 years older than her, by the way, told her that he had been killing the last 40 years. Now, we will be getting into the horrible stuff. But how to start? We could keep going on without their story progressed and how they started kidnapping and torturing women, but I would prefer to give the victims a little more attention than the duckhead that is David Parker Ray and his bitch of a girlfriend. Now you might wonder, why am I mad all of a sudden? I just finished listening to a recording he made and played for his so-called sex slaves. It's about 30 minutes of bullshit instruction on how to be the perfect sex slave and what they are going to do to those women. Now that you noticed, I said they are going to do, because Cindy was also in on it. You cannot hear her on the recording, but he refers to him as his lady friend and how they like certain things. It makes me so angry to listen to it. I will not refer to it again, but the recording is on YouTube and you can have a listen if you want to, but be warned. It's horrible, and unless you want to know how he got his dogs in on the rape, don't do it. So, let's start with their downfall. It was sadly easier than I and probably all of the victims deserve and hoped for. 22-year-old Cynthia Vigil Jaramillo was kidnapped by David and Cindy in Elephant Butte in March 1999. She was able to escape after 3 days wearing only the slave dog collar to get help from one of the neighbors. They called the police and got help. She was kidnapped while working as a prostitute, thinking he was just another client until she got into the RV. As she was hiding the money for the job in her shoe, he smacked a pair of handcuffs on her and showed her a fake police badge. As she was trying to get away, he screamed for Cindy and she came out and shocked her with a cattle prod. She was then taken to David and Cindy's home. Here she was stripped naked, put in the slave dog collar, and then tortured and raped. She managed to get the keys to her chains from a table when Cindy left the room. When she came back, she noticed that the table was moved and they got into a fight. Cynthia was stabbed with an ice pick and punched with a lamp, but she still managed to get free and call for help. And then she stabbed Cindy with the ice pick. She ran away and tried to stop a passenger car who just drove on. She found a neighbor at a home and got inside. They called the police, and then the house owner promised to keep her safe until the police got there. She was then driven to a hospital to get treatment for her wounds and trauma. When she heard that Cindy was being moved to the same hospital, she panicked and refused to be in the same hospital wing as her. David and Cynthia were arrested while out searching for Cynthia. They had told the police that they were just trying to clean her up and get all the drugs out of her system and keep her off the street. When they searched the property, they found a shit ton of incriminating evidence. It must have been like walking into a nightmare. They found a room where she had been held and a bucket with her waist, and then the broken lamp. It was then they saw the toy box, a small trailer on the side of the house. There is a gynecology chair in the middle where the legs could be chained to the side so that there was access to the lady bits. On all the walls there were toys, homemade devices to make the torture of the woman even more painful and humiliating, like a box to pull out the woman's head, homemade dildo devices, and everything you can imagine to inflict pain on a woman. He even made his own ankle spread used to keep the ankles apart. He also made his own plastic dildo with spikes in the end of it. It would be inserted, and if you did not hurt by the private parts, you would definitely hurt inside of your thighs. When searching the house, they found tons of homemade videos, and there was even a video where he was torturing another lady. Luckily for them, they managed to find a tattoo on her. They shared it, and a woman was identified from that tattoo. Her name is Callie Von Cleve, and she was at the time 25. She was a friend of David's daughter, and she had no idea why they had a picture of that tattoo. She said she had nightmares of being tied up to a table, and duct tape scared her. When she was approached by FBI, she finally understood why she had been having these dreams. With the mixture of drugs, David would hypnotize them. When they wanted to let the girls go, they would give them a combination of drugs to mess with their minds as well as play with their memory. This also comes out in the tape he would play when a new girl was kidnapped, where he tells them they will not remember anything. It also mentioned that he had kidnapped several women, and from his information, his diaries, and what he has told other people, he also killed a lot of women. There has never been any bodies found, although Cindy and Roy tried to tell the police where to look for them. He lived by the Elephant Butte Lake, and there was a map in the house with X's on them. There were 2 to 3 dive missions, but there was no evidence found to link him to any murders. He was also employed in the state park, so he knew all the places to hide a body, but none of the searches provided any body or evidence to link him to murders. So far, the only two witnesses are a prostitute with a drug history and a woman who has no clear memories because of all the drugs she was given. The only evidence is what was found in the house, and the police was scared that David Parker Ray would go free. Luckily, Callie remembered what happened the night she was kidnapped. She ordered a beer, followed a drunk friend home, and came back. There she spent the rest of the night with her friend Jessie Ray, David's daughter. Next, she remembered being on David's couch and they were putting the collar on her. In 1997, there was another woman who went missing, Marie Parker, and she had two small kids at that time. She had been out drinking in the same bar and was abducted when she said she wanted to go home and check on the kids. She was never seen again. However, people saw Jessie walk away with her. Now that they know Jessie is involved in two cases, as well as the testimony of Roy Yancey, he is the one who said that he and David killed Marie Parker and then dumped her body in the state park. He gave the police a location to search for the body, but they never found it. Where are they now, I hear you ask? Well, let me tell you. The horrible news. Roy Yancey got sentenced to 11 years. Can you believe it? 11 years? In case you were wondering, yes, he is now a free man and living the good life. Jessie received a full 9 years. This just keeps getting worse, isn't it? Cindy Hendy received 36 years. Now, it's a little bit better, but however, she was released in 2019. The reason for her low sentence was that she got a plea deal by giving the police Jessie and Roy. The man of the hour, David Parker Ray, got away easy. He died in prison from a heart attack 8 months into his sentence. Well guys, I really hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!